what is this place? And what was described to me was this: when souls, when young babies leave the earth plane early, they are so beautifully nurtured by the Heavenly Father and his angels. No soul is left in a to fend or whatever. These young souls are brought with so much loving care, brought to the prime of their spiritual well-being.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Channel Within. I am Mira, and today I'm speaking with Stephen Chong about his remarkable NDE. Stephen is an educator, trainer, and author joining us from Australia. Welcome, Stephen, and thank you so much for being here with me today.
Oh, Mira, it is an absolute pleasure to be with you on the other side of the universe,
Yeah,
per se.
yes.
We have a great gulf of water between us, don't we?
Yes, that's true. Stephen, do you want to tell us a little bit about life before your NDE? Were you
Oh, my
religious,
goodness.
spiritual?
Yeah, well, what you mentioned, Mira, that my professional career had always been as an educator. That's part of my DNA, and I'd written, I don't know, 4 or 5 books in that interim, which was all very exciting. But I had retired. I was done. I've done all. You get a bit older, you get snow on the roof, and you say that's it. But uh, 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 the universe had different ideas, I suspect, um, because it's just over 5 years ago now that, and as you do when you're in your 60s, you still think yourself bulletproof. Oh, you can't quite see behind me, but I was up cleaning out the gutters. Here we're in tropical rainforest and we're very remote. We don't have near neighbors, or we don't even have blinds on the windows. God forsake. Anyway, I was up cleaning out the gutters and the ladder slipped and it fell through the louver windows behind me. There's glass everywhere. I've fallen about 15 feet and hit the ground hard, and I fractured my neck. Now, fortunately, it was a Saturday morning, and my lovely wife was here. Normally, she's not. Now, again, the universe is taking control of things here, and she was here to hear me fall. And if she had not been here, I would probably not be here. um, and she came to my rescue. And it wasn't at the time of the incident, but during the process of rehabilitation, in the months subsequent to the accident, I'm good for nothing. I can barely get off the couch. I can't move. I'm almost being fed through a spoon. uh, but I had, and remember that I'd retired. No more. I was done. I'd finished. No more books. No more anything. Just leave me alone. Uh, but I had the title of this book going through my head, The Afterlife, a journey too. It was like a hamster wheel. And Mira, I knew what it was. It was the universe saying, Stephen, there's more. There's, open the door. But like Peter denying the Christ, I said, no, no, I'm done. Leave me alone. Leave me go away.
So, Stephen, I have a question for you. Before,
Yeah.
because this NDE is unconventional, where it
Mm,
happened during recuperation or
mm.
after the incident itself. So, were you interested in the topics that were then coming to you, the afterlife, etc., before this,
I,
or no?
no, I wouldn't say that at all. No, no. I mean, one of the things in my dialogue with the higher realms, saying the afterlife. What do I know? I know nothing. Like I'm just me. uh, but Mary, eventually I said, okay, I'm in. I will, whatever it is you want. Again, talking to the universe, whatever it is you want me to write, I will write. Okay. So from that point, what happened, I sat in front of the priest and I trusted him, having made that decision, I trusted implicitly that whatever was to come. Oh, Mary, you know that what happened is I had no, not like a good author would have, I had no storyboard, I had no character, I had nothing. I blank, blank screen. But as soon as I sat, oh, it was incredible. I saw the colours, I heard the music, and the dialogue was so clear. And what happened, well, how it presented itself was I'm seeing there's a character in heaven, he's dictating to me basically, and I'm just writing. And within 3 weeks, I've got this thing written, this download from this beautiful being who took me on it was like a train journey, a scenic railway tour through the heavenly realms. He took me to all of these different places, and it was so clear. As I say, the dialogue was, and he's speaking. Interesting, Mira, that the dialogue was Old English. It was like Elizabethan language, and of course, you can hear that I do not think like that. I don't speak like that. I don't write like that. But that's how it came through. So this Old English dialogue was being downloaded to me, and this character Athar, he's taking me through all these different realms. It was a great gift and a wonderful journey of learning, I must say, from many points of view, and it diametrically has changed how I look at life and how I now view the closer prospects of moving on to the eternal realms. And that's my job now, is to pass that information on, of course.
That is beautiful. Did you get a glimpse of what Athar looked like?
Oh, that's a very interesting. Oh, I've got to tell you, Mira. The answer to that is yes and no. I couldn't describe his face. No, I could not. But when what I was shown, along with many things, was the color of the robes. When we progress into the heavenly realms, when we pass over, we pass through these mists of judgment, if you will. But the colors that I saw were, forget the colors of the rainbow. This is 10, 100 times fold these colors. And a soul station in the heavenly realms is reflected in the robes they wear. So the white, the purity, the gold reflects the higher realms, whereas the darker realms are denoted by obviously darker Hessian, browny, yucky colours. Mira, I've got to tell you something though. This is hot off the press, okay?
Okay.
This is hot off the press. Now, all this happened 5 years ago, and the book was written, and it's been a great gift. In the subsequent 5 years, I have tried. Honestly, I tried in short stories and writings and things to replicate the voice, to replicate Athar's voice. And Mira, I could not do it. I was not for the not for the want of trying, because I did, but I couldn't. I couldn't hear it. I couldn't see it. But you know what's happened? On the 24th of December, I've woken up in the morning and I heard it again. I heard his voice again.
Oh, wow.
It was so clear, and he's given me the sequel to this, the Afterlife book. I mean, I've got the title. I'm 40,000 words into the writing thereof, but he is so clear again to me. And again, the revelations from this one are totally mind-boggling. It is all to do with a soul's progress through reincarnation. He's in the process of reincarnating, and he's going through all of these experiences to prepare him for his return to earthly form. So there you go. That's hot off the press. I suspect the writing at current rate will probably take me another 3 or 4 weeks to complete. I don't know. And then, of course, we've got to go through all the
So then you
the
will have to come
process.
back and we'll have to talk about the sequel for sure.
To be sure. Absolutely.
So I did,
Love to.
because I did see when you spoke a while ago, and you said that the topic of reincarnation was not addressed in the NDE. So this is awesome
Correct.
that it's being addressed
It is.
this time around.
It is awesome, Mary. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, in that the first book, The Afterlife: A Journey to, there was no mention. And as you say, I've been asked on numerous occasions about reincarnation, which I happen to believe in, but it was not revealed at that time.
And it's not
But
always addressed in every NDE anyway, but this is
correct.
fascinating. So can you tell us about the different heavenly realms?
Let me take you to a couple of places that I'm seeing through Athar's eyes. This is not my imagination, or I'm not on drugs, or God forbid. So the first place that comes to mind is called, was called the Abode of Reunion. Now, picture this. Seeing through Athar's eyes, and there's a guide, a master, a mentor with me. So we're standing on a hilltop looking down upon this dale. There's all these masses of souls, it's like a train station, to use the analogy. And to the side, there were these beautiful mists. Now, over the mist were these silver cords, running these silver cords and attached to these souls. And they were like, I'm with the guide, and I said, like, what is this place? And we went down amongst it, and what was explained to me is that when we sleep, souls are able we're still attached to the silver cord, but this is a place where our souls go to connect with loving kin, somebody who's to give us advice. So we have a dilemma in our life, something to be fixed or advice to receive. When we sleep, the soul is able to transit to this area, to this dale, and meets up with love is the bridge. So, somebody that loves you and wants to advise you. And that's what I saw. So there were souls there receiving information, and when the soul was called back to their body, they moved back over the mists. And that's why, as you, I'm sure, well know, when we go to sleep with an issue or a dilemma, a problem, the universe says, okay, here's the answer. And we wake up perhaps in the middle of the night, or we've got an inspiration in the morning. That's where we've been. So what we know is that, and I've got to tell you, Mira, a practice that I do nightly now, consequential of that knowledge, is to see the veil between our life here and the spirit world is very thin when we're just about to go to sleep. So the connection gets stronger. So when we're about in that zone just before we sleep, that's when we were most open. So that's when we would connect and say, oh, God, guide me. What do I need to learn? How do I solve this problem? Where do I go to fix? So we place that dilemma, that problem, in the hands of spirit.
I love that, Stephen.
It's a beautiful practice. Yeah. I've got to tell you, I do it over. Hand it over, yes, and then trust that we will receive the inspiration. It maybe, when we wake up, or sometime when the mind is not busy, when the monkey mind has stopped trying to figure it out, then we empty. And then the spirit says, oh, okay, Stephen, you're clear. Here's the answer. And that's when we receive the inspiration to fix or whatever the solution is. It's a beautiful process. That's only one of the see, Mira, for me, learning about the Abode of Reunion was great, nice, for a better word, but its practical applications are the key
No,
to the
absolutely.
process. Yes.
Yeah. And that
Yeah.
makes sense because sometimes when we have something that is bothering us or something we're working through, the minute we step away to take a breath of fresh air or stop thinking about it, or then we get
Yes.
that aha moment, revelation, etc. So that sounds so lovely. That's a practical tool that we could all use at night to hand that over. So thanks for that, Steve.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That was just one of the number of areas that I was taken to. Let me let me give you another.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. There was a place where, again, not alone, with a guide. We're taken to uh, a, a beautiful building. Don't think just a regular like house. This is not. These are majestic buildings, and it was surrounded by a blue mist. Even now I get chills when I think about it. And we entered into this place, and honestly, Mira, the love I felt when I walked into this place, I still feel it. It was like a tingle in my back now. And again, I turned to the guide. What is this place? And there were these rooms, and they were filled with these beautiful, let's call them what they were, angels, and they're robed in these beautiful robes, and they're tending young babes, young souls. And asked, what is this place? And what was described to me was this: when souls, when young babies leave the earth plane early, they are so beautifully nurtured by the Heavenly Father and his angels. No soul is left to fend or whatever. These young souls are brought with so much loving care, brought to the prime of their spiritual well-being. That was totally described to me, and it was again the love in this building was so profound, and these babes were tended with by these angelic hosts. That was another of the places that I was taken to, which was beautiful. And God forbid that, I mean, our children are adults now, and you could only imagine the grief associated with the loss of a young being for parents. But to know that soul is beautifully nurtured by the heavenly angels and the Father is knowledge that one would hope assuage the grief, if you understand my meaning.
It's so comforting.
Yes, yes. Was it? Yeah, there were a number of others, Muriel, we could go on to, but there were two that stand out to me as just beautiful places. There were lower levels I was taken to, which were a little bit less, not quite so nice. Go into if you want to, but that were the two that stood out.
So can we talk about one more realm then? Or one more
Yes.
abode that you were taken to?
Yes. Um, the healing arena. Uh, Again, with the guide, we approached this majestic building. Think of the Roman Colosseum in all its glory. This was like, and this place was filled with souls. It was like a big stadium, a sports arena, if you will. But it's filled with all of these, and the multicolored robes, and they're all chanting. The Om sound is reverberating around this arena. And again, I'm just with the guide through Athar's eyes. I'm observing this. Excuse me. And in the middle of this stadium were these repose lounge chairs, if you will. And in came these seraphim, little angels, cherubs, and they're tending a quite decrepit souls, the souls that were malformed with great disabilities, and they were presented onto these lounge chairs, and the lounge chairs kind of wrapped them, enfolded them in their well-being. Oh, yeah. Then in walked this, I can still see him in my head, this majestic being, this angel-like figure, white golden brocades, and he holds up his hands, and he's like a magnetic ball, a disco ball, if you will, and he's taking the energy from the crowd, like rays, and then he shoots these rays into these souls on the lounge chairs. And like, I'm writing this and going, far out. And then when he'd finished, he sort of packed up and walked. He walked out, and then the souls, they were healed. They, like before deformities, they were healed. They got up and walked out. And I've gone to the God, like, man, what is this? And what was described to me, Mira, was that souls or sins imposed by others. So if I did bad things to you with intent that caused you harm, for example, God forbid, if I gave you bad drugs or something, sold you drugs, and it caused you great deformity of your spirit, you are relieved from those burdens. Those burdens are taken away from you. Those harms are taken away from you in this healing arena. The consequences, though, are borne by me because I've caused you harm with intent. I would then endure the consequences of those actions, but you are relieved of those burdens, and that's what the healing arena does. It takes away sins, for want of a better word, imposed by others that cause one a deformity of spirit. Oh, that was, Mira, that was the first place I was taken to, I've got to tell you, which was very interesting.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. Stephen, did you have a life review while you were out there? Or
No, I did not.
oh, you
No,
did not. Okay.
no. But I've got to tell you, that's a very interesting question because what I saw, excuse me, again, standing on a hilltop, again with the guide, none of this I'm doing on my own. When I say my own, Athar, I'm seeing through his eyes.
Right.
And there were these mists I mentioned before had a portal. And what we saw is these souls that when we pass over, we pass through these mists where the life review is conducted. And this is not, again, I wasn't shown inside that. What I was shown was when the souls come out. So what I saw, or what was shown, was these souls are exiting these mists, and some are coloured in beautiful, like the robes designate where one is to go in the heavenly realms. And other souls are able to look at one's robes and know exactly what you need in love, in service. So the robes designate the road that it becomes uniquely ours. So what I saw was some souls coming out, beautiful, bright colours, and off they went with loving kin or guides or whatever. And there were others that were dressed brown, Hessian, darker colours. And I got one particular instance I was shown where there was a soul who, a lady, come out and she was dressed in dark robes. Obviously done not some nice things in her life. And she thought she was due to go up to these higher realms and tried to go up these pathways. Couldn't do it. It was like hitting an invisible barrier. She had to come back. She tried again, and she tried a third time. And then she realized that there was a pathway that was uniquely hers. And it kind of went, I don't know where she went. I wasn't shown that, but it was kind of going downwards. So, but it did describe. So after that life review, and to be clear, my understanding is a life review is not a judgment call. It's an awareness recognition. It's like looking in a mirror and seeing yourself and experiencing what you have caused to affect in others, good or bad or whatever it might be. And the result of that is reflected in the robes one wears and the pathway that is uniquely ours. So I didn't go into the halls of judgment, wasn't shown inside. I saw the results for souls coming out of those mists of judgment.
That makes sense, Stephen, that there are different realms out there, and it seems like in video games, for instance, we have to reach certain levels, and sometimes we'll be aware, say, of level 25 being available, and I've played with my son where I wouldn't be able to enter it even though I try. So that it's an analogous to what
It's a very good analogy, Mira. And I've got to tell you, and again, subsequent revelations in this current writing is in the heaven, to describe it more fully, in the heavenly realms, you do not go where you are told, you go where you fit in. So we resonate with a particular frequency.
With the
a vibration.
Yeah, with our vibration. Yes.
Yeah, it is a vibration. It's a frequency.
Yeah.
And obviously the higher realms are resonating to a more refined vibration frequency. Lower realms, it's denser, of course. But that kind of, it just makes sense to me. And it's all consequential, of course, of our actions, what we have caused to affect in others in our lifetime, what we've done to others, in the service we've provided, or the harm we've caused, perhaps, designates the frequency with which we vibrate. Interesting, isn't it?
It is, Stephen. And it's hopeful that, like, when we have these live reviews, that we come out with the resolve to be better and therefore raise our vibrations and to strive for that goal. However, it seems like when we come here through the veil of forgetting, we seem to forget what plans we had before, the whole free will,
Isn't that very interesting? Now, I'm about on that in the current writings, I must say. So your point's well made. My direct understanding from current writings is that we are all gifted with a purpose when we come down. We have a specific undertaking to fulfill, be it karmic or service or whatever it is. We are given and designate the circumstances of our birth, of our existence. We choose where to go to best fulfill our designated purpose, what we have to learn, or what service we have to provide. The interesting thing is, and this is only, again, mirror hot off the press, I asked this question about 2 days ago. How does one, we forget, of course, we come down, I forgot, we don't know for Adam what we're supposed to be doing, but our purpose is, it's written inside us, like in the genetic codes, and its revelation is through joy.
Oh, wow.
Through joy. Not pleasure, as distinct from pleasure is a different thing, but our joy links to our purpose. Joy in our surrounds, joy in our relationships, joy in overcoming our challenges or realizing our potential. So, and that's, again, that's not a fleeting, momentary, like alcohol, where we go outside to seek some sort of limited thrill. This is an internal sense that says, Stephen, you are on the right track. You're where you are meant to be because of the joy one senses in the heart. It's telling you that you are doing and being the right thing, if that makes sense.
That is just so profound.
Cool, isn't it?
It really is.
Joy is not a luxury, it's a signal. It's like a signpost. It's telling you, yes, you're, or if one is feeling angst or angry or whatever, you're off track. But if we realign to that joy, the signal becomes, oh, I'm here. I'm, I make my heart, I feel good. I'm with the right person. I'm in the right place. I'm doing the best. Joyful. And it's in that inner feeling, not an outward seeking. I don't have to seek the accolades of anybody else. I don't have to have alcohol to make me feel better, or sex as distinct from love. The difference is profound, but that connection to joy tells us it's a signal that we are on the right track.
Yeah, that's a beautiful explanation. So, Stephen, in your you were Athar, you're seeing from Athar's point of view. And so what did you catch a glimpse of your guide, and was it the same guide, or did your guides change?
Oh, there's quite a number, Mira. Let me give you a bit of background about the Athar. And people have asked me, was I channeling? And honestly, I don't know. But it was like tuning a radio dial. When you get the right frequency, that's what it was like. And that's where I heard the music and the dialogue and all that sort of stuff. But Athar, in his life, as a child, he was abused under the auspices of the clergy. And later on in his life, because he was angry and ashamed and all of those negative, horrible things one would feel consequential of that abuse, he was stuck in this purgatorial zone and he couldn't get out. He again, I'm seeing through his eyes, and he's in this not horrible, dust-filled place, but his shame and his guilt and his anger was keeping him in this place. He couldn't see the light that was there. And just an aside with that, Mira, wherever one goes, and this is consistent through even the writings now, wherever one goes, there is always the light, the heavenly light that's there. The soul may not be able to see it because it's blinded to by whatever, but the light is always there. So in Athar's case, it took forgiveness. He was able to forgive those that perpetrated these heinous things to him in life. That forgiveness released him into the higher realms. He was able to, I forgive you. It was a profound moment. And then he saw the light. And then these beautiful angels come to take him away from this purgatorial state. And there, really, then that's when our journey began. He took me through all the different realms. But the key was forgiveness of himself and forgiveness of others. That forgiveness cut the karmic ties that bound him to this place. Horrible place, really. So, but that was one of the profound learnings. Forgiveness is one of the keys that unlock one's evolution into the higher realms. It releases the burdens that one is holding on to. It's sort of like cutting the strings to rocks, if you will, that allow one to move up to the heavenly realms.
That's lovely. And back to the guide, Stephen. So was it like automatic writing then? Because you said you get asked if it's channeling or a download. Was it like automatic writing?
Yes, I think so, Mira. Yeah. The
Where you
I
were
set the
seeing as
condition.
well, you had the
Yes.
vision while you're writing then.
Yes. Um, there are a number of conditions I imposed. Now, let me explain that. So, remember this, it took 3 weeks to write this thing. And I'm very disciplined when I commit to these things, it becomes encompassing. But what I would do in the morning, I would wake up and say to the higher realm, okay, spirit, we're on today at 1 o'clock. We've got things to do, we've got life to live, whatever. But at 1 o'clock, you're on. So at one, I would sit, and for me, importantly, it's like uh, having a cone of silence around. So no distractions, no beepings or buzzings or emails, or just leave me be. And then I would sit without fail, I trusted implicitly that whatever was to come would be there. I never knew, honestly, I never knew from one page to the next what was coming next. I had no idea. I didn't even give it a thought. I just trusted. I'm completely engaged in the process. I trust you implicitly. I love you. You're a beautiful spirit. Let's do this. And it was without fail. I would sit in front of the PC and go, cup of tea, oh, God, every time. And I'd write something, a page or whatever, and read it back and go, far out, far out. Where did that come from? Because I had no idea.
I love that.
Interesting, isn't it?
It,
Beautiful, huh? So,
yes.
so the key, but Mira, sorry to interrupt, but the interesting thing is these processes are, of connecting to the divine are not special to a writing of a book. They give us the ability to do this for whatever. So these practices to connect. What I know now is this divine connection, this spirit. Our spirit guides are there for us 24/7. They're sitting on our shoulders. They're waiting for us to connect, to listen to listen to their message.
So,
So it's not. Hmm?
yeah. So, is it the spirit guide that you have in this life that accompanied you in the experience in the great beyond?
Oh, that's a very interesting question, and I've got to tell you, I'm not. I can't be sure about that. But what I know is love is the bridge. So when the heart is open, then the love that you need, the service that one requires, the intent that one shows to serve, opens up to different spiritual beings. And let me give you an example of that. In current writing, there has been about 7 or 8 different mirror, the beautiful beings that have come through. I couldn't even begin to describe, but they're different depending on what Athar is trying to achieve or realize, accomplish. Yes, good word. Then the particular spirit comes to his guidance, his aid, and takes him to wherever. So that was very apparent. So in Athar's case, or even in our spirit guides, what I know is that love is the bridge. So we just open ourselves to love. We trust implicitly that love will be there. We connect ourselves to the divine light. So that, I mean, there's an exercise I do just before going to sleep, is you surround yourself in golden light, and that opens a pathway to that heavenly realm. And then, of course, I trust implicitly. There's no malice. I can't see any bad spirits or entering anywhere near that. And we know that the love will come through that connection. I think, Mira, that the guides we have are like the guardians. They can give us assistance, but then would call on other more, I don't know, more elevated beings for whatever we need, if that makes sense. So they're kind of like the doorkeepers, but what they are, they're there for us 24/7. Absolutely, I know this.
And Stephen, did you meet or did you encounter any other beings, any other divine beings out there?
Oh yes. uh, Let me give you an example. Athar, his mentor, for most of the time was a spirit guide called Atticus, and together they would. And let me see if I can describe this. Um, Atticus took him, like wrapped him in an embrace, and took him. We went up to these higher, up through these higher levels. It was like going up in a rocket ship. And then we come to this. This is right near the end of the book. And and just as an aside, every soul that I met on this journey, every soul I was introduced to, I would say, "What's your name?" Straight away. Straight away, I would have the name. Right, Samuel, Atticus, whatever. So we got taken up to this higher realm, and like we alighted on these steps. Even now I can see it in my mind's eye. It was like a big open hall, balustrades, Greco-Roman pillars, and there's this majestic soul, young, in his prime, full of laughter, and the love emanating from this character with this being was profound. And I was taken to meet him, and we had dialogue, and it was laughter and fun. And I'd say, "What's your name?" 3 times did I ask, "What's your name?" I was never given it. I was never given the name. I've been asked before whether it was Jesus or the Buddha or Krishna. Honestly, Mira, I don't know. I was not privy to that information. In the book, I've called him the Grandmaster. because I didn't know what else to call him. But 3 times did I ask, and I was not. Uh, Although, again, hot off the press, uh, in the current writings, there is an, an overarching angelic being that I'm being drawn to, and I know his name straight away. Straight away. So, but I haven't kind of got to that part yet.
Okay, so that will be in part two of our
Yes, that's
interview.
part two. That's part two. But I have his name in my head, but I haven't met him yet. And when I say him, I don't, the him or her, the designation doesn't. It's both male, female. If you understand my meaning, this is just spirit. The beautiful spirit. They're neither male nor female. It's just. I have the limitations of the English language to deal with, but these are beautiful spirits,
And
magnificent spirits.
And that in itself is a beautiful lesson that we are genderless on the other side. We may
Yes,
not need the name because when this curtain goes down in this lifetime, you, as Stephen and me as Mira, when we leave the stage, that would not be our names.
correct.
That would probably not be our names, right?
Isn't that interesting, Mira? We are one of the things I was shown and taught in book number one was that we are designated with heavenly names. So we lose the Stephen or the Mira or the Fred or whatever it might be, and we are designated by virtue of our station in the heavenly realms. We are designated with a heavenly name. It's got something, I think, Mira, to do with our purpose, where we what we have to do. So the name resonates with a particular frequency that opens up doorways. I think is the way it works.
That's something to look forward to. Well, many things that you talked about, but that being one of them. Stephen, are you
Yes.
afraid of death?
No. Oh, would you like a quick answer? No. Oh, Mira, um, having been shown these wonderful things and having the ability to describe them in a book for others to see, one of my wishes is that people, uh, grab hold of the learnings, the readings, and know that there is nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear in the heavenly realms. There is no soul, irrespective of actions, that is left alone. Let me give you, in this current writing, I've been taken to places that are less than salubrious, shown things, souls that have been really nasty and done some really bad things in their life. Uh, Irrespective, that soul, they're not cast out. They're not thrown into the pits of this hellfire is nonsense. Quite frankly, it is nonsense. But that soul, they're entrapped by the things they've done, but they are never bereft. There are souls, heavenly angels, waiting to tend them as soon as they can release themselves, forgive, whatever. That unlocks the key. No soul is left unattended, irrespective of their actions in life. Some are entrapped, absolutely, but there is no soul that is left unattended, and the guides are waiting them to release them, to take them from these less than salubrious places. If
I
that makes
really love
sense.
that. That help is
Yeah.
always there for us. And as parents, you're a parent, I'm a parent. We love our children and want to help them. And so if
Correct.
this being is, has this unconditional love for us, why would we be punished like we hear in different scriptures across the board, cross culturally,
Correct. Correct. Mira, there is, to give you a quick background on this, I'd written the Afterlife, and about I'm in edit phase. You know, you go into this publication edit phase and blah blah blah. About 3 months after I'd finished the book, and I'd read it 100 times, you know, as you do. And I awoke one morning, and it was like hearing the voices again. It was like, Stephen, you missed something. Read it again. Huh? So I did. And Mira, it was like reading a text. You know, when you've got a highlighter pen, and you can see that. I read it again, and throughout the book, I found these, and what I've called these laws of heaven and earth. And I found 15 of them. And the first, and you know, people can go on my website and get all that stuff for nothing. It's all good. But the first one, the first law is, fear not, you are never without the love of the Father. So that of itself is worth the price of admission. So whatever we do, wherever we go, here on the heavenly realms, the heavenly, again, use the Father in the same designation as before, we are never absent that love. The love is always there. That doesn't mean to say there are not consequences to our actions. Of course, we need to face get acquainted with what we cause to affect in others. But that love is never absent. So, bring it back to your question. For me, to pass it. Oh, let me give you an actual example, Vera, of how this manifested for me. It is nearly 3 years ago that I lost my beautiful mother. Yeah, she's in her 80s, and this lady is an angel. She is. I chose very well when I chose her as my mother. And ever since I was a young boy, I always kind of knew, it was like, hey, Mum, when you go, I don't want to stay. I want to go where you're going. I remember forever. And when she passed, you know, one feels grief for her loss of her presence. I can't go up and say, hey, Mum, what's for dinner anymore? But she is more powerful now, more present now than she ever was before. In here, yeah, in the heart, she's there, and one calls upon her whenever. Oh, what do I do, Mum? What do I do? Where do I go? How do I fix love? That love is the bond, is the bridge. Can't be broken across the veil, across the eons. Can't be broken. So the knowledge, that knowledge alone, that bond we have with that loving being still remains. They are, and what I understand, Mira, is that grief. If I was, you know, bereft by grief, you know, Mum, why did you leave? Why did you go? I'm all alone. That grief holds them back from their own evolution, because they love us so much. They want, oh, Stephen, you're not coming down to comfort. You go. We're okay. You know, I'll see you soon. Later. You know, but I feel love, not grief. You know, gratitude for the being. You know, thank you for being a part of my life, and thank you for being here now. So, grief is understandable, of course, but to know in these higher realms that grief would hold that person back. Let them go, let them fly, let them go, evolve, be up with the stars. Call upon them when required, absolutely. But don't hold them because one feels that grief.
That's beautiful advice. I have three questions I ask everyone. What brings you joy and laughter these days, Stephen?
Oh, Mira. Um, I'm a very fortunate man. I have a beautiful wife that looks after me. We live in a beautiful part of the universe that, um, uh, we're surrounded by rainforest. Um, I love this connection to the divine.
What would you tell young Stephen who is about to embark on this great adventure of life?
Mira, I'm a very fortunate man. I have three beautiful sons, and I, I, and I said to one of them just last week, said, I do my best to pass on this knowledge. It's taken me 69 years to come to these understandings. You're getting it when you're 25. You're experiencing this connection to the divine and watching their unfolding. They're flowering in the their creative spirits, a bit like their father, in acting and music and the like. And to see them blossom with similar the understandings I'm able to pass on, and then they listen to. Thank the gods. so, I see your question manifested in my own children.
That's lovely. Is there anything that you feel like sharing that hasn't been shared already, or anything that you want to share that hasn't been shared already?
Oh, we've covered so much territory, Mira. Do the daily. It's like I told my sons recently. Do the daily practices. They make significant difference. That morning, just before waking up, and just before going to sleep. If one does that, then the connection opens up. And then the key, Mira, for me is that, well, two things. I ask I ask the divine to guide me. Simple. God, guide me. What do I do? How do I realize my purpose? What and then ask a question. What do I do to fix whatever fixing is required? uh, uh, so connect to the divine. It's waiting for you there to open that door. And just those two times, morning and evening, are the times when the veil is very thin, when the monkey mind's not going. And during the time, again, it's like I tell my children, you're busy, you've got lives to live, but there are fine snippets during the course of a day. Just quiet, connect in. What do I do? God guide me to purpose. Good. That's all. Just ask. Be still just for a moment and then watch the unfolding.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Thanks so much for being here with me today. And I hope that everyone enjoyed this conversation as much as I did.